First question. Continuous mindfulness is important, but how continuous should it be? Between walk, sit, or is it throughout the day, or is it in the first or second week, or towards Nibbana? I guess that this one you can answer it yourself. If until 2 weeks you still ask this question, that means it's something not there. But anyway, during in the retreat, there's two modes that the mind should operate. One is the mindful mode. The second mode is thoroughly mindful mode. This mindful mode means that the mind is present, as if like your movements of your hands, you're mindful, you're opening a door, your right step, left step, a lot of things throughout the day. You're supposed to be like the moment that you wake up until that you sleep. Throughout the day, there must be this mindful mode. The second mode is where you are thoroughly mindful. That means you are precise. You are noticing things carefully, like in the lifting, pushing, dropping, like in the sitting, or like sometimes in the daily activities like biting, chewing, and so on. So this practice is actually where you're supposed to start, supposed to be like that in Vipassana, and all the way until one is even Arahant and beyond that. Also, there's these two modes. The moment you without that mindfulness, then that is where all the hindrances will come in. In retreats, you come to this type of Vipassana retreat. Wherever you go, then you have to keep on pushing. You have to keep on making the effort to be alert, to be careful, and then when the condition is right, situation is right, when the body is calm, then we make it more thorough. Then progress will take place. Okay, next question. In the sitting, the body started to swing towards forward, I think, backwards, and then to the side. I tried to stop it many times, but it starts again. Once I let it happen, and after a few minutes, it stopped on its own. What to do in this similar situation? When you sit down especially, you notice that the body is like moving, or sometimes some people towards the side, forward, or even go around a little bit. So the best is that when the sitting is there, you have to try to stop the physical body. But when you stop this physical body, you have to look for something inside the body, that there are pressure or there are certain vibration and certain thing that is going on that's trying to push. Then the external body is trying to move together with it. Sometimes when the yogi sit down, he begin to notice initially the body is moving, but he doesn't know what is causing it. So here you make an intention to stop it and try to note what is happening inside the body. It will start again. We are not here to stop the internal movements. We are only here to stop the external movement. This sometimes as you meditate, this internal pressure, like pushing, as if like a lot of times is trying to push the body forward, backward, side in so many ways. Now, if the yogi don't stop this external movement, what will happen later is that this internal movement, that is all this, maybe some vibration, some pushing, it becomes not the dominant one, it's not the clearest one. Then the external body becomes the dominant movement. Then you might ask, why don't I note the movement of the body then? No, then you may ask yourself, why don't I note the external movement of the body? Because if you don't stop it, later part, the more movement that you do, the more joyful you become. The more joyful, more pleasant, and then you start moving. And then every time you sit down, you start ding dong off too. When that happens, when that moment happens, the yogi doesn't want to really note the movement. It's just want to feel the movement of the body because it's quite pleasant in a way. Bodily tiredness, pain, everything all gone because the body is keep moving. So make sure that we try to stop the body as best as possible. If this type of question, like this question, it says that just move for a few minutes, then it stop. At least it stop on its own, which is fine. Once in a while, if you are not sure, if you are noticing a lot of sensation and then there is a lot of pushing, if you are not sure, just open up the eyes and just mindfully just take a look of whether actually the body is moving or not. Sometimes it may feels like the body is moving, but actually when you open up the eyes, the body is not moving. So if it's not moving, then close the eyes again, then keep noticing what is happening there. Okay? Alright. Next one. If you listen, inverted comma, if you listen to the body speaks to us. Is this intelligent? No, it's not intelligent. Actually, sometimes again, in the Western, this one, we as if like we want to use the word listen, as if that the body is telling us something, so we listen. In the Malaysia or in over there, the other side of the world, nobody use listen. Anyway, we understand what it means over here, but what is actually happening is the body is trying to show you something. The body doesn't have a so-called life on its own, but it's all these things are conditioned. So while you're noticing something, let's say you're noticing the pain is pulling here and there, then it is not like telling you something. A lot of times, just because of the pain is like that, we interpret that the mind conceptualize it like there must be some problem in the physical body. There must be something blocked, some energy is blocked, or some kind of disease or whatever. Here, this type of thing, especially when you are in vipassana, don't interpret too much what you are noticing. A lot of times we thought that by observing or noticing this sensation, these movements and so on, as if like sometimes yogi feels like the body is trying to tell them or give them some signs or something like that. But all these things is actually you are conceptualizing. You are trying to reflect, you try to conceptualize, you're trying to make a meaning, you try to analyze the phenomena or the sensation. But we thought that these things are somehow we begin to be more intelligent in that sense, but actually it is not. So therefore, while we are doing vipassana, then your job is just to notice all the objects as they really are, not what you think or what you analyze and so on. But when you are outside, for example, when you're outside, you finish this retreat, you're out there, then let's say you have a stomach pain. At that time, you better go and see a doctor. That time, you're not supposed to noting pain, pulling. Then it can be a problem, bigger problem. That one. At least you apply your intelligence there. Then that is good. That means that at least when you're out there, you feel something is not so right. Perhaps there are something there, so perhaps you need to check it out, you need to think it out, you need to see a doctor or whatever, then well, okay. But when you are in the retreat time, most of the time, all this pain and all this sensation, they are just phenomena. Of course, once in a while, sometimes the yogi may have already some internal, some disease or internal injury, then perhaps that one, once in a while, we have to be careful. But a lot of times, yogis, when a little bit of pain, sometimes they already fear. They have a lot of a lot of fear that all this pain may create a lot of problem, but actually in the most of the time it will not create any problem. Okay, so next question. You prevented us to be aware of those who say to have mystical powers about their visions of light in meditation. Does this refers only to this particular field of meditation, or is it general? For example, in Reiki or in Reiki or energy blockages or removing energy blockages. When people talk about special powers and so on, I mean, it will be good that we be careful with all these type of things. Now, it's very easy for this type of so-called powers and psychic powers and so on, that one easily get, if you're not careful, is easily get attached to all these things. Now you see, like for example, lights, or even certain mental concept also. Even in the Buddhist teaching, or even the Buddha thought also, that we can use light as a meditation object. But we can also use certain concept as a meditation object. But they are not really in Vipassana, they are more towards Samatha. The purpose I said those things that you are not to be attached to is exactly that we should not be too attached to all these lights and mystical power. But we can use this light as to develop the mind further, like using the way of Samatha. But the most important thing, even in Samatha, we also don't attach to the light. Once you attach to any of these things, or lights or whatever, the mind will go into all kinds of defilements and then end up with wrong views. Not that this mystical power don't have in this world. They exist in this world. But if you are so attached to all these things, then a lot of times people get attached to the whole idea, but the actual mental development they do not want to practice. So this type of mental development through samatha way, they are helpful in certain sense. Certain area in vipassana we cannot develop that area, like metta or like karuna is not really developed in vipassana. So those things are very helpful. Now, what about all these type of nowadays modern things, like over here is said that there's Reiki, or there's removal of energy blockages, or even like Qi, or even like universal consciousness. What about all these things? As I said yesterday, that you want to do these type of things is up to you, but you should consider whether whatever the teachings inside there, are they connected to permanence, blissful, everlasting blissfulness, or connected to self? For example, people with this doing qi, and for example, if like you have some blockages here and there, so when they meditate, they send their qi over there to clear the blockage. Or sometimes there are different ways of doing qi, is they absorb what we call universal qi, permanent qi from over this one, so that you come to your body and mind, so that you have a better qi. So all these things, when they is connected to something permanent, you got to be careful. Finally, all this qi or all these reiki things, is finally you come back connected to this wind element. So all these things are just wind element because they are just movements of the body here and there. When we say that there's energy block here and there, actually there's no energy block. It's just you feel something harder on it. Therefore it's earth element. So all these things, however you interpret and so on, then finally everything just come back to all these elements. Now, some people get too attached to this power or this chi. Whenever they come to a vipassana retreat, instead of using the noting mind to pay attention, they use this chi to go through all the body so that the body is clear and open. So all these things, when you come to vipassana, you have to put it aside. If you don't put it aside, those idea becomes a very strong idea that you do not want to give up. Therefore, you do not want to truly pay attention to the mind and body process. Even like people do, the Tai Chi or Qi Gong, they do all this exercise very slowly in one time and then very slowly. It looks like they are doing vipassana because everything is slow. But they are not doing vipassana, it's just the movement is slow. All these things, although externally they look alike, but internally they are totally different way of doing things. So I'm not trying to block you all, These exercises are good in the sense that it keep you healthy. But if you get attached to it, that is where the problem starts. Okay? Next one. This one is a bit long. Here start. Okay. Alright. The Buddha said that one must practice both vipassana and metta. But how to put this into practice? Yesterday you said that you can meditate exclusively metta for 1 month and then vipassana the following month. Isn't there a risk of a yogi who has laboriously acquired some skills in vipassana and then he loses some of it by not practicing it for 1 month? I also heard that the metta removes defilement only temporary. Only vipassana can eradicate or eliminate them permanently. Is it true? For some, personality might be better to practice metta. How can you improve your internal relationship with difficult people? Okay, later. Alright. Yes, of course, the Buddha teach samatha and vipassana, not just vipassana and metta. But to put it into practice, so yesterday I mentioned you can do it like 1 month or 2 weeks vipassana, or 2 weeks samatha, or 2 weeks vipassana, 2 weeks metta, another 2 weeks vipassana, to change around here and there. Now, the reason I said this is because that when you are out there, when you practice vipassana, let's say, your clarity of the mind is not as clear as what you are doing right now. Now, when you practice outside after the retreat and so on, after some time, you notice that rising, falling, and also sitting sometimes are not that clear. But if day after day it is not clear, then after that, few weeks later or a week later, you just give up on meditation because not so clear. Because there's nothing to notice, just rising, falling a little bit here and there, drowsy or thinking, and then as if like you are meditating nothing. So therefore, that time we give up on vipassana, and we change into metta. Because when you start changing into metta, the mind starts stirring up again to do something different. Then the mind gets interested again. Then when you're out there, your skills to noticing and all that thing, well, after all, the objects are not that clear, so you are not really missing anything. Perhaps when you start doing metta again, then you develop some new skills. And therefore, you change it over time, then it keeps your interest in the meditation. So, that's why you have actually a number of meditation techniques, or a number of ways of how to do meditation. Actually, that can be helpful. Some of you also do this in breath, out breath too. So try for it for a while. You're not in the retreat, you're out there. So try for different this one for a while. At least pay attention to them, how they are. So next time, if or you can change also. For example, okay, this 1 week I'll do just walking meditation. If you can, also possible. You can always change. You're not in the retreat. There are so many things you can do actually. All right. So metta or samatha meditation, it only abandons the defilement temporarily. Correct. Vipassana, but fully, here when we say vipassana, we talk about it until the enlightenment level. Then only it begins to eradicate the defilements permanently. Yeah. But then there are people, even in the Visuddhimagga, mentioned that there are people who practice just samatha meditation, but their defilements does not arise at all for a long period of time. So they thought that because the defilement doesn't arise, they thought that they already also arahant. So this story, there's a story there in Visuddhimagga. It mentioned that this monk thought that he already became arahant because of he practiced samatha so much and defilement doesn't come up anymore. But the disciple of that monk, and he's actually an arahant, and he got some psychic power also. He looked into the monk, or he looked into his teacher. He saw that the student, the young monk knows that the teacher thinks that he's already arahant, but he's not yet. So here that monk, he creates a wild elephant. Creates an name, of course. For the teacher look at it as if like it's real, and the elephant is charging onto the teacher. Yeah. Then, as the elephant runs to the teacher, then the teacher starts to run away. But the student hold on to the rope of the teacher. Then he says that, is there fear in you? Now then he realized that there's still fear. Then the teacher completely knows that he's not an arahant yet. But also he says that he meditated just for a short while, he already became arahant, real arahant. Because the mind is already well developed already in certain level. It's only switching over to vipassana, everything just come in full fruition. For some personality, it might be better to practice more metta. Yes. Metta is completely opposite of anger. So those who have a lot of anger, a lot of hate, a lot of hatred inside the heart, then metta is suitable for them. But then it is difficult for them also because if the hate is so strong, it's very difficult for anything to grow. So here, not only just metta, but actually karuna, mudita, and upekkha, all these four is connected to some mental unpleasant feelings. Here, metta, it overcomes the anger, and karuna overcomes that cruelty or violence nature. And the mudita overcomes the jealousy. That means you see other people get promotion, you don't get something like that. Upekkha, it go opposite, that the mind can fluctuate. Yeah. For example, you sit down there, and then the day is nice. Then after that, the day changed to raining. Then you feel very discomfort. With that means there's nothing to do with metta or karuna right now. But now it's because the mind is not stable. Then therefore, with the equanimity, then the mind is able to be stable. Or sometimes, for example, like when you're driving, and then while driving on the other side of the road, there's a big accident, and so happen you see somebody die. Now, because the person is dead, and so happen to see them, are you able to apply metta? Yes or no? The person is dead, so you cannot apply metta this time. Compassion? No, also because the person also dead. Mudita, being happy for him. Cannot, that also cannot. Then therefore it comes with upeka. Therefore upeka is the one that it prevents the mind to say, oh, so sad for you, so bad, And then here, when the upeka comes in, it comes in with understanding. So therefore, the mind is neither happy nor neither sad, but in the middle that comes with understanding. Understanding perhaps that it comes with understanding of karma. Well, unfortunately, sometimes we reflect that this karma ripens. When it ripens, anything can happen to us. Or sometimes you go to a certain place, you feel like the place is something wrong, something fear may arise. But then instead of your mind falling into like confusion, falling into fear, but the mind remains steady in the middle with mindfulness. Or sometimes we suddenly heard that our loved one passed away and so on. So by the time we hear it, the mind actually can able to accept those things because if you have developed some metta in the past, some equanimity in the past, when you hear these type of things, the mind can able to accept the nature of life. Instead of the mind goes into too much sadness or too much regret because of that news. Other words, in our life, it's not just only metta that you should practice. Actually, the 4 Brahma Vihara should be practiced equally. When you go to a different situation, for example, you go to a hospital and so happen to see somebody, but people around you or the patients around you are also go through suffering. Then this time it's good for us to cultivate compassion or karuna. May all the patients here be free from all their sufferings. Something like that. Huh? So when you develop this 4 Brahma Vihara, your next question is how to improve your relationship with other people, difficult people. Therefore, the 4 Brahma Vihara is very helpful for you to deal with them. But next time you ask yourself, are you the difficult people? Then you cultivate for yourself first. If you're able to cultivate for yourself, then you become much better. When your relationship with others, because of your mind change, then others are not so difficult. Next question. After one experienced Nibbana, if the person died, what happened? So, if the person passed away after gaining the first stage of enlightenment, well, the thing is that they still reborn again. But the rebirth, the cycle of birth and rebirth, as the Buddha says, the maximum is only 7 lives to go. Because there's eradication of that skeptical doubt and that wrong view. When these two are already eradicated, therefore the Buddha says that the gates of the lower realms of existence already closed, is either from rebirth from human realm and the happier realms. Whether they are true or not, I'm not very sure. If you want to know, you better meditate until Sotapanna, first stage, then after that you come and tell me. So all these things, whether there is a rebirth and so on, after one experience first stage of Nibbana, how many lifetimes and all those things, again here in a way is theoretical. Of course, those who have seen it, like the Buddha and some Arahants, they are able to see it, then they can tell you it is true. But for a lot of people, they're not able to see it, well, they take it out of faith. Next question. If the realization of Nibbana is not but only by Vipassana, but if the realization of Nibbana is enough only with Vipassana, why the Buddha teach also Samatha and Samatha Jhana? No, Samatha and Jhana, Samatha and Vipassana, these are the two left wing and the right wing of a plane, for example. When you do this meditation, Yeah. When you do this vipassana meditation, does not mean that you have zero samatha. In the beginning, all of us, when you begin to aware of something here, initially it's where some degree of samatha comes in, but it is not going into the way of into jhana. I don't want to confuse you all a lot more, because you see, when you start to discern things much more carefully, like you noticing everything carefully, then you are going into the way of vipassana. But if you, let's say, the sensation, you just stay there only, and you just stay there, how the sensation change and not changing, you don't really look at them. But if you just stay like that, then you are going into samatha. That's why I said, during in the noticing, you keep noticing how things are changing, moving, in what way, in what pattern they are moving. Then is to help you, to direct you to the way of vipassana. So before you able to notice things, you still need to notice that particular quality of that sensation. So when you note that quality, if you don't see how it change, if you keep it there, and then the mind gets calmer, then in a way you're going into the way of samatha. Now, the Buddha also teaches samatha meditation because in the Buddha's time, many people have a very high spiritual level. They either can start off with samatha or vipassana. For a lot of them, it's possible. But when we do samatha, finally we have to come back to do vipassana in order to gain enlightenment. To develop from samatha until jhana, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of training also. Now, supposing this person practiced samatha and never practiced vipassana before, and he can able to achieve the real type of samatha jhana, what they need to do is actually change object only, but the state of mind, they can carry it forward from samatha into vipassana. Samatha mind, when you reach jhana, the mind is free from defilements, free from all these hindrances, and the mind is very alert, clear. So after that, you want to switch to vipassana. So you drop all the samatha objects, bring that clarity of the mind into vipassana. Therefore, immediately the vipassana object become very clear. So during this time, you don't have to deal with the hindrances so much. You don't have so much thinking or sleepiness because that has been taken care by the samatha practice. But then some of us may ask, why don't we start off with samatha then? Samatha is not as easy as what you think, as just sit there quiet. It's not like that. You need to have the mindfulness that you have right now, you need that mindfulness for that samatha also. Some people thought that just go into samatha, just calm the mind, everything quiet, jhana. No, it's not like that. It's like that day we talk about people get attached to the calmness and peacefulness. In samatha meditation, it's exactly the same thing. It's not easy, but anyway, if you have some degree of samatha meditation, that will be very good because it can complement the vipassana development. In other retreats, not here, sometimes in a longer retreat, once in a while I do teach even in the middle of a retreat, a yogi goes through certain things, then for a while we switch over to samatha for a while just to break that problem, whatever that they are going through. After that, switch it back to samatha, just to reduce those hindrances. Sometimes, for example, if the yogi is like every morning you wake up 4:30, then 5:15 you are sitting, or 5:30 you are sitting. After 15 minutes you are already like that. Then there's no quality in the first sitting of the day. You are sleepy and so on. So might as well once in a while change to another meditation, even like metta also. If you sometimes change it to metta, it just stir you up to make you clear for 15-20 minutes. Once you are clear, then after that switch back to vipassana again. Then it kind of like start the engine for you. Then after that, rising, falling, all come back again. If you do samatha meditation and then after that you want to do vipassana meditation for the purpose of enlightenment, then this samatha meditation, everything, all these things, then it falls under satipatthana. But if there are people who want to do samatha meditation, but they do not want all this enlightenment, but they want all this psychic power, let's say, and they practice samatha, then this samatha meditation does not fall under satipatthana. Because the satipatthana, the objective of satipatthana is for the enlightenment, whereas now they do the samatha meditation for different objective. Again, of course, samatha, jhana, and so on, there are many benefit of it. Even during the Buddha's time, it helps to spread the teaching further too. Because they spread the Dhamma not only among humans, but also among the devas also. So in order for you to communicate with the deva, then you need samatha jhana. Can you talk about non-self, self and non-self? Self, I, the Buddha says, is a misconception. We believe the I, or believe self, because there's nothing else for us to have. We are always in the cocoon of self, and it's so hard for us to understand what is non-self until we experience it. It's like, there's a story about the fish and the turtle. The turtle says that there's such a thing as land without water. But then the fish says that you must be crazy. Where is such a thing as there's land without water? You are the fish. Because all the time we are in that. No matter how you think about non-self, you still think from the perspective of self. Who is listening to the Dhamma talk right now? I am the one who listening to the Dhamma talk. It's so difficult for us to let go of that I. When we're able to let go of the I, when the mind becomes sharp and clear, and we begin to see like conditioning, like for example, you note your intention, you note movements. During that time, at least for a short period of time, the mind opens up a window that you can see one of the qualities of non-self. Then when you don't meditate, that window closes for a while, and then you do other things until you meditate again. When your mind is clear, then it begins to show you something as if like the window open up again. Or even like when you notice the body, all this arising and passing away, the mind, the body, and how all of them in so many ways they are interconnected. During that time, again, another perspective of non-self is coming out. The word no control, you have no control over it. There's no I that is controlling it. Or you notice conditioning in many ways. All these things is to notice all this non-self. Dhammanupassana, the fourth Dhammanupassana in the Sati, the fourth object of the fourth Dhammanupassana, the what? The fourth foundation of mindfulness, the fourth one, Dhammanupassana. That one is particularly to notice the nature of non-self. Because all this, in the fourth aspect of this Satipatthana, or the Dhammanupassana, everything, when you read it carefully, it talks about what condition what. This condition that condition this. How does the anger arises? The anger arises because of something arises, cause this anger to arise. So the more that you meditate into this vipassana, the more that you understand, or the more that you're able to see it. A lot of your understanding of non-self, sometimes it's very different from what actually you are noticing. So during in the practice, even we don't recognize it as non-self, it does not matter. As long as we're able to notice all these things, the non-self is already impact you in the vipassana level. Okay, this one is all about home. At home, colleagues from work, and family and friends with very little understanding of meditation will ask, how was it? What to tell and what not to tell? Here, these questions again here. All your personal rising, falling, pain and everything, how you note all these things, all this thing is very personal to you. It's yours. Yeah. Even you tell these things to another yogi, sometimes another yogi also misunderstood what you are saying also. I mean, what more people who don't really understand at all. Yeah? If you talk about all your pain, then people says that you go to retreat for all this pain. You must be crazy. You talk about standing meditation to them. You mean you stand there and do nothing? So it's very difficult for us if we do not have understanding of all these things. So what can you tell them then? We tell them that we begin more clearer. The mind is more calmer in a way because you deal with your restless mind. But we tell them also that yes, the mind is more alert. The mind is clearer. But to get this thing is a lot of hard work to do. There are good things coming out from the meditation, but all these small little things that one not necessary for them to understand unless they really come into the retreat. Or even like you go back and then you do walking meditation in your house, lifting, pushing, dropping, and then your family members will look at you. What are you? All right, next one. Okay, perhaps this is the last one. Huh? What are the thoughts on Vipassana meditation and retreats for those with autism spectrum disorder and ADHD? Any advice that could help such individual to overcome these potential extra challenges? Now, in this Vipassana meditation, especially if I were to know that if these people have various types of mental health issues, not just only this, but if you have mental health issues, I will already ask them to stop the Vipassana. You see, in Vipassana meditation, your mental health has to be somewhat okay. Even you know that even it's okay, it's so difficult to go through. What more that people who have all kinds of mental health issues and they come in, actually if they are not careful, they will enhance everything and it get even worse. So Vipassana and this type of intensive retreat is usually not suitable to them. But what is suitable to them is the cool, relaxed form of mindfulness. So this type of mindfulness, we have been using it in education, has been used in military. They have used it in like US, like in schools and so on. Yeah? And it helps to reduce all this ADHD and a lot of problems, mental problems in children or those people affected with all kinds of mental health issues. So next time, if you have friends who have all these type of things and so on, you better don't ask them to come for intensive retreat. It's more like a retreat, more of a very easy type. You do a little bit of work, you do a bit of service, you clean up a bit, and you have some good discussion, a good mindful sitting, something like that. Enough. Okay, last question. Never mind. But only one answer only. No worries. How is it possible to keep unattached while being in romantic relationship? That she already answered. It's impossible. You're trying to judge. You're trying to. Sometimes people try to learn about the Dhamma, and then you want to have a strong relationship. Things like that. Again, the Buddha says, the world is one side. Liberation is the other end. So the world is full of attachment, whereas the liberation is unattachment, non-attachment. So definitely when we are in a relationship, there's always strong attachment is there. Okay, enough, I'm tired.